Hey, how you doing? This is Dan McDonald. I'm the Life Regenerator here on YouTube. I have a very special guest on the show today, and I appreciate you joining us. It means a lot to me. Lou has offered to do me a favor and share some really great stuff with you today. First of all, Lou, why don't you tell us, well, let me just say one thing. Lou is one of the most inspiring and beautiful human beings I've ever met, and I'm very honored to have him as a friend. He helps me in countless ways to really continue to accelerate my life. You've inspired me since the first day I met you, and I'll tell you a little story before we get started. Dave the Raw Trucker said, I met this dude, and then Lou Corona. Even before he said your name, it came out, you gotta meet this guy. And then I think it was maybe a few months later, I was in California. Who's this guy, Lou Corona? It just came out of the sky, just like the light from the Essene Gospel of Peace. Just like the light that visited you. I believe it could be the same source. But I knew that we were brothers from the very beginning. And Lou's helped me to grow a lot over the years with my understanding and balance and even relationships and health. And I really appreciate you, Lou. So I wanted to share with you some of just Lou Corona as a person. We'll only have a little bit of time here today to share. But Lou, why don't you give us the real short version of your story, how you got into raw foods, healing, and ended up just really exploding with the divine connection to be able to help people in so many different ways.
I look forward to doing that with you here in a moment, but I was just smiling when you were saying how I've been helpful to you and inspiring to you. Well, I want you to know, when I first met you, I didn't even know what YouTube was, and you've been helping me a lot too to understand what it actually is and how it works, because I lived off the land for many years. I never really got into the computer world. I barely still even know it today. But this time I do know what YouTube is, so I know that whoever listens to this, more than anything, may you be left inspired as well as I have when I learned about these things. So in a nutshell, a short version was 41 years ago when I was 21, 1973, I was at my deathbed, and at that time I was suffering a great deal. I had a big tumor, I had severe acne, chronic asthma, arthritis. I was going to the bathroom once every 3 weeks. But in this near-death experience I went through, when I completely surrendered and just sought for help, I was given the knowledge, and when I was embraced by this light that you talk about and saw the presence, I was given knowledge of these 4 principles, but I didn't understand it when I woke up the next day how to apply them. And then I got some guidance around that. I learned them, I did them, and within 6 months everything disappeared. And ever since then I've been practicing the 4 principles, which is the foundation.
And everyone that's new to this show should know that we actually did some videos, very profound videos,
a couple years back,
2 years ago. And all you have to do is type into the YouTube search bar 4 principles, and you'll get 1, 2, 3, and 4. Reiterate just what those are real quick without going into them. But
okay.
Just tell us what the principles are.
The first principle is about cellular communication. And when you understand that we're made up of trillions of cells that make up our bodies, so every cell responds to exactly how we think, how we feel. They respond to what we do, our intentions. They respond to how we eat and drink and what we do with our lives. They respond constantly, negatively or positively. And so when I learned the power of communication and the power of words, I began to start thinking more powerfully. I began to start learning the distinction between empowering thoughts and disempowering thoughts and words and what have you. I started learning how to communicate more powerfully with my maker and more powerfully in my own way of thinking, also more powerfully in the way I communicate with others in a more empowering way, in a more edifying way. And so there's more to it, but as I begin...
That's number 1. What's number 2?
I just want to say one last thing about the first principle, is that when I was given the instructions to love and to forgive and to accept and to anoint everybody in my past that ever hurt me or took from me or offended me in any way, and all the violations I experienced my first 10 years of my life, I didn't know how to do that, but I learned. And so that's related to the first principle about communication. Power of forgiveness, power of loving and forgiving and accepting and loving everyone unconditionally.
What's number 2 principle?
Number 2 is related to the cellular environment. It's related to incorporating the elements, embracing the sun, breathing the air, breathing slow and deep, drinking the good, pure, alkaline structured water, and drinking plenty of it to replenish you and flush you and regulate you, and also getting grounded. So this is something that's missing for many.
Yeah. Too
So-
much concrete and too many metal buildings.
Right, and then
Fluorescent lights.
Right, so we need to look at that, and then and it's very powerful because when I really realized the power in the second principle is when I did a 40-day water fast in the wilderness, and when I experienced the energy just from the elements alone, it was very, very empowering. It was the most powerful experience I ever went through in my life, and if I say too much more about this part, I'll begin to start having tears come out of my eyes, out of joy and out of gratitude for what I embraced and learned.
Hold together, Lou.
I'm doing my best. And then the third principle, it was about cellular communication. It's about, forgive me, I meant to say cellular exercise.
Yeah.
That's only because I want to go back to cellular communication because it's so powerful. But the third principle is really about cellular exercise. How do you stimulate the lymphatic system? How do you oscillate every cell in your body so that you can detoxify and release the toxins from your body, the waste byproducts from your body?
Amen.
That's why rebounding is very powerful. That's why breath work is powerful. That's why doing hot sweating, saunas or whatever, detox bathing, and going to cold water back and forth.
Hot and cold therapy.
Hot, cold therapy
Nice.
is very good to stimulate the lymphatic system. That's why doing lymph draining and body work is very helpful to stimulate the lymphatic system. That's why if a person even swims nonstop for 20 minutes to 30 minutes will help stimulate the lymphatic system in a very powerful way. So these various things you can do to stimulate the lymph is a really vital thing to do. And everybody that I've worked with by hundreds of thousands now over the years in different parts of the world, every time I find somebody that has an illness or excess weight or whatever is going on with them, their lymphatic system is sluggish or plugged up. And we need to move that lymph and get it moving. So that's a really powerful principle we need to incorporate on a daily basis, at least 20 minutes a day. So the third principle, the fourth principle is about cellular food. How do you feed your body from a cellular perspective? Cellular nutrition is a really thing that most people miss out on. Most people don't know how to feed their body from a cellular perspective, on a cellular level. And how it works is we need to eat the food that we eat, we need to digest it and break it down completely. Oh, if you will, go in the freezer and get that.
Oh yeah, before we forget again.
Right.
Good call, bro.
We're gonna do a little demonstration for you.
Oatmeal ice cream.
Yeah, right. We're gonna do a little demonstration for you, just so you can see it for yourself. But
So number 4, did you wrap that?
I'm working on it.
Cool.
So basically, the fourth principle is what we're going to talk about here. Emphasize on it because it's really one of the principles that is lacking in most people's lives today. Most people are still cooking their food, and they think it's actually healthy and good for you. But scientifically, they've proven without a shadow of a doubt that every time you eat cooked food, the body has to use more of its own enzymes to digest the food, more than you remanufacture within the body, which causes the enzyme depletion to take place. So people do become enzyme deficient in a given time as they're consuming cooked food.
Diabetes, obesity.
So when your body becomes enzyme deficient, that means no longer are you capable of digesting all your proteins, carbs, and fats to the micro level, to micronutrients, like amino acids, glucose, and fatty acids. And unfortunately, you end up with partial digestion. So that means some of the proteins, carbohydrates, and fats get digested into micronutrients, like I just said, but some of the proteins, carbs, and fats don't get digested. And anytime you have any accumulation of undigested proteins, carbs, and fats, they putrefy, ferment, rancidify within the body. And when that happens, it accumulates in the intestinal tract, and it gets into the blood, it gets into the tissues, it gets into the brain, it gets into organs and glands and what have you. This accumulation attracts parasites, viruses, bacteria, and yeast.
Does it create inflammation as well?
Of course, of course. That's why people end up with inflammation.
A lot of people have inflammation.
That's why they have high blood pressure. That's why they have cholesterol issues. That's why they have heart attacks. That's why they have diabetes and arthritis
So
and
metabolic
cancers,
waste
different forms of cancer.
is fermenting in their body
Yes,
and
all this.
causing every kind of ill health you can imagine.
This is a root. I'm not going to say it's the ultimate root cause, but from a physical plane, it's one of the most major root causes to why people suffer, because they have all this undigested material going inside them and not all coming out. They're not processing their food properly. Ideal situation is as you master the art of digesting everything that you eat, so you can actually break it down into micronutrients, so you can actually absorb it. So ideally you want to pre-digest your food in your stomach before it goes into the small intestinal tract, which is about 20 feet long. Then inside the small intestinal tract, you have these little things called villi. So those little villi, those little finger-like things on the inner wall of the intestinal tract, is what absorbs these micronutrients, takes it into the blood, into the cells. As it's passing through every section of that tube, called your small intestinal tract, it feeds every section of your body. Thing is, as this food passes through and as it's absorbing, the waste byproduct goes into the colon. And this is where the waste comes out of the body, through the colon and out the rectum, right? The thing is that the ideal situation is you digest good, you pre-digest it in your stomach, you absorb it in your intestinal tract, and then you eliminate the waste and run clean and efficient. Because what you're trying to do with the food you eat is not only break it down, but to absorb it, metabolize it, and convert it into energy. Muscle, hair, skin, bones. Manufacture the hormones and the metabolic enzymes in your body, so you can maintain what they call cellular integrity. Eliminate the waste, run clean and efficient. That's the ideal situation. But unfortunately, back in the day, when I was going to the bathroom once every 3 weeks, I learned a big lesson out of that. Yes, I got to the point where I became so toxic, and I ended up with the acne and the allergies and rash and a tumor, asthma and arthritis. This is all toxic related, right? Yes, I was full of parasites and bacteria and yeast and all those things. But when I learned the lesson about how to think more powerfully, how to connect more powerfully, and how to communicate in a more powerful way, and as I got into the elements, as I got into how to stimulate the lymphatic system, how to drink the water and do the breath work and all, and as I started eating live foods, fresh juices, taking the seeds and soaking, germinating them, and eating enzyme-activated rich foods like that, all plant-based, I found out I don't have to kill animals or kill my food to live. I learned how to live in a very powerful, amazing way. So for me to feel, or first of all, to overcome all the diseases in 6 months and never come back in 41 years, and for me to feel the way I feel at 62 years of age, pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. It's been an incredible journey for me. But in the last 25 years, I've been all over the world teaching, training, showing people how to do these things, and all the conditions they have are going away because of it. So I'm very, very pleased and thankful to be a part of the journey of empowering people like yourself. That's why I'm here, Dan, because you inspired me when you said you read this little book and you crossed over and you started taking on these teachings yourself. And you've been doing the best you can and stumbling along the way, doing better and better and better, evolving with it. And now you've even gotten better and gotten stronger. And it's a really wonderful thing to see happen to somebody, because that's why we're doing this, to help as many people as we can to catch on to a very powerful way of living so they can be free. So people don't have to suffer like you have, like I have, like many people have.
And those right around us, even in our close proximity.
So our hearts go out to you and everyone. So if you can get a sense and a feel of where we're coming from, then listen carefully what we're saying and do your best to embrace these things so you can be free and live a very powerful, vibrant, wholesome life, a whole complete life. Because that's what the 4 principles are about. They're the foundation. That's why I'm very thankful Recently, somebody came into my life and made it possible to be able to form a company and be the guardian of that company after 40 years of just dreaming about it, envisioning it, and praying for it. That one day it could be a company that could be created and put together in such a way so it could help these 4 principles become available to the rest of the world. So everybody has access to it, so they understand what they are, what they do, and how to implement them into their lives so they can have an incredible life for themselves. If people were just to do just that one thing, follow the 4 principles, learn them and do them and apply them, they would have a great life. Now, if they want to do something to, you might say, accelerate the cleansing healing process, or maybe make up for lost time, for all the enzymes they've been using up over the years, then it would be a good idea for them to take something like Enzyme. Enzyme, it comes in a bag, or it comes in a bottle, a 500 cap bottle or a 1,000 cap bag, or it comes in powder form, however. But these powerful, superior, multiple digestive enzymes called Enzyme is spelled LIYF, which is an acronym that means life in your food. We're trying to help people understand we need to put life in the food. We're eating so much cooked dead food, and little do we know we're robbing from ourselves more than we make in return, and we're causing ourselves to become enzyme deficient, which causes poor digestion, poor assimilation, poor utilization, poor elimination. Everybody who has any sickness or disease, they all have that going on. So to help make up for that, you can do something like this. First and foremost, if you're going to take something outside of the 4 principles, see, gosh, over 35 years ago, I knew somebody really well that was dying from cancer, skin and bones, and they gave him up to die. And he refused to go to the hospital. He prayed about it, and he didn't go to the hospital. Instead of doing that, he ended up praying about it, and somehow he found out about enzymes and enzyme therapy. So he took these plant-based, medical-grade, full-spectrum, highly active enzymes, and within 5 months, his cancer was gone, his weight came back, and he went on with a good life. He's still alive today after 35 years. And so what I did, I was very inspired by that, so I studied it, and I learned it, and I became an expert at it. And I also studied the soil across North America and found out that our soil, organic soil, even if you eat 100% raw food, is running enzyme immunodeficient in a big way. I won't even give you the percentages. Study it for yourself, research it for yourself, but it's over 50% enzyme immunodeficiencies. It's not doing very well. And I've talked to many organic farmers all over the country, and what I find is they all say the same thing. They're not doing enough composting for the soil to feed the soil. They're not doing the rotating of the crops properly, and they're not resting the soil like it's supposed to happen. And so they know that, and they're aware. Our food today, organic food today, even if you eat 100% organic live foods and don't cook anything, like I'm doing for years and years and years, plant-based, it's enzyme immunodeficient. So when I saw my friend wipe out cancer in 5 months, got my attention, I studied it, I learned it, I read volumes of books on it, and then became an expert at it. And after years and years of experience and working with experts in the field, we came up with something superior next to none. These are the best, highest quality enzymes, the broadest spectrum, the highest activity with no fillers, and we're using whole food cofactors, which is incredible. And anyway, and they're also for a lot lesser than anywhere in the world. And the name of the company is called Puradyme. Puradyme is P as in Paul, U-R-A, D as in David, Y-M-E. Puradyme. And if you want to get a hold of these little amazing jewels, you call 855-787-5493. And
That's the number of Puradyne. Huh?
For Puradyme, yeah.
Cool. And I'll put a link down below too, so you can go to the website and check it out.
Now watch this. I just want you to see the effect and the efficacy of these enzymes. So here's some oatmeal cereal. We just cooked it up, put it in here, and you can see it's pretty sticky, pretty gooey. It's going to stay there for a while. And so if we took this oatmeal that we just cooked up and just took it out with our hand and just threw it into the ceiling, it would stay there for 200 years.
200? 300?
300, 400, 500,
Eternal.
1,000. Yeah, it would just stay there like glue. Really true story. So remember, anytime you eat cooked food from now on, you just need to know, you have to ask yourself the question, if I eat cooked food, is it going to serve me? Is it going to love me back? Some people don't realize this, but there's certain foods you eat that will kill you. And they kill you slowly. And before you know it, you're gone. But there's some foods that will cleanse you and heal you and maintain integrity and keep you alive and keep you well and keep you healthy. And that's what we're trying to convey to people. So if you're going to eat cooked food, the next best thing you can do is at least take some powerful enzymes. The reason I don't get the ones from the health food stores or other companies is because these have been made to be the best of the highest quality, the broadest spectrum, and no synthetics, using whole food cofactors with no fillers. The
So
best
Lou,
of the highest.
You are the president of Pyridine.
The Guardian, that's why I'm kind of excited right now about Pyridine, because I get to be the guardian. I get to protect the integrity and the quality of it.
Enzyme companies water down their stuff for profit. And so you love the enzymes so much that doing that would be stupid. Because you take these, why would you water down something you want to use?
Well, it's not only for my reason, but it's also for the sake of everyone else. We want to offer the best for the lowest cost, make it as affordable as possible. And the philosophy of Pyridine is to offer the best for the lowest cost and have a small profit margin.
Yeah.
All of them out there have a high profit margin, lower quality, and higher cost.
It's too bad we don't have time for them to really understand what Pyridine really is all about. But I asked Lou today if he would educate my viewers on these things. I've had these around and I've been using them for 3 months since they were first launched.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kept back and didn't share anything with anyone because I wanted Lou to do it, because nobody knows these things here that you've been using for all these years, 25 years.
Right. But in a nutshell, what is Pyridine? What does it stand for? What's the vision of Pyridine? The vision is this: that they carry the foundation. That they're known. Pyridine is known for the foundation of life itself by these 4 principles. Pyridine will be known for the 4 principles, because that's the foundation of life itself. So if you could just apply the 4 principles, you're going to have a great life. And we want to be a stand for that and get that out to the rest of the world. Even if they never take an enzyme or anything, just live by the 4 principles. It's free. You can just learn it and do it and apply it like we're doing. Now, but if you want to, the only reason I still take enzymes myself is when I lived off of land on rich soil, I didn't have to take enzymes. But when you eat organic food that comes from health food stores, farmers markets, they're enzyme deficient and mineral deficient. So watch this. This is just oatmeal cereal. I'm going to take a very powerful enzyme called Lysozyme, and I'm going to put it in the container here. And so as I mix the oatmeal together, all within a
cup so you can.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. But as I mix the oatmeal and the enzymes together, Lysozyme, these are the ones you generally take with your meals before you eat. And generally, people take around 4 or 5 with each meal before they eat.
I like to use them when I'm just on a juice fast, just to help to accelerate the blood and the breaking down of any excess.
If you take them on
an
empty stomach, then they're going to help clean, detoxify the body. It's going to help you break down the excess undigested proteins, carbs, and fats trapped in the body that never got digested from the past accumulation.
It's hard to digest the cooked foods, the fried fats, the cooked carbohydrates. It all gets so sticky.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why people have the big belly?
Right.
So this is Lysozyme. And don't you guys have something that is more of the therapeutic?
Yes.
Which we don't have that today because Sophia took them all. Which is
okay.
good, right? That's okay, no problem.
Well,
More.
you can see that we took the Lysozyme, the multiple digestive enzymes people take with their meals. You can see how the oatmeal just liquefied and poured into the container. Well,
so it just broke down.
It broke it down.
Cellulose, the gluten,
the proteins, carbs, and fats. It just broke it down into micronutrients. And this is the thing. You want your food to be pre-digested like this before it goes into the intestinal tract. So that way you can absorb it, metabolize it, convert it into energy, muscle, hair, skin, and bones. And then by the time it gets down to the other end, you have a soft, easy elimination with a faint odor, if any. But what's happening with most people is that when they go to eat food, they chew it, they inhale it, and then it goes into their stomach. They only partially digest it, and then they process what they process, but they don't process all of it. They don't utilize all of it. And then some of it gets out, but not all of it gets out. Some of it gets into their system. And this undigested material that I'm talking about is the culprit. Because when it goes undigested and accumulates in the body, not only through the intestinal tract, but it gets in the blood, it gets into the cells, it gets into organs and glands in your brain and all that. Why do you think people have fat plaquing, mineral plaquing, protein plaquing, what are the plaquing, mucoid plaquing? Why do you think that builds up and accumulates in the system? Because of this fact. And so the enzymes, if you take them with the meals, it's going to help you enhance the ability to digest your food better so you can assimilate, metabolize, and eliminate, run more efficient. Because most people that don't take enzymes and they're eating cooked food, through time, they have this accumulation of undigested food. So when they go to the bathroom, some of them have to wait. Some of them have TVs and radios and stereo systems. Some people have books and magazines because I've been into thousands of homes, I've seen it. And some people don't have any of that. Some people just sit there and wait and pray and hope that they can go to the bathroom. We have a multi-billion-dollar industry today called the laxative industry. It exists because people are taking these laxatives trying to get them to cut loose and eliminate this waste because they can't digest, they can't eliminate. So they take something harsh to get them to go and highly stimulate them, which weakens their system in time. It makes them lazy inside. These are simple. This is something that's foundational. This is something that we're just putting back into the food that was cooked out of the food. So because the enzymes are the answer to help you digest and assimilate and metabolize to begin with.
Does the enzymes help you to sort of save on your own metabolic enzymes?
Yes. It helps you to. It actually helps you put the enzymes back in the food and also help you digest better and assimilate better and takes the stress off the pancreas. So your body can actually manufacture metabolic enzymes that runs your whole body.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because metabolic enzymes are a different form of enzymes.
If you can't get them raw, then get them on the enzymes. If you can get them raw, you've been taking enzymes because you might as well just keep.
Look, if you're living off the land, you're living off rich soil, and you're living the good life, the ultimate life, then you don't need to take enzymes with your meals. But if you're living in a city and if you're living on raw organic foods even from the health food stores and for farmers markets, that soil that those foods come from are enzyme immunodeficient. I've already tested it. I've already done my homework. And if you guys don't know that, well, go and do it yourself then. Research it. Know what you got going on. If you're living in the tropics and you're living on rich soil, enjoy the fruits and vegetables and do fine. But if you're going to eat nuts and seeds, then I would use the next thing. Life Biotic. This is the friendly.
This is what was on the coconut almond yogurt recipes.
Yeah, Life Biotic is LIYF. That means life in your food. Life Biotic it comes in powder form, and it's very powerful because this is a strain of friendly bacteria that are very, very powerful. Whatever I had before was about 10 billion friendly microorganisms per teaspoon. This one here is 40 billion. It's 4 times stronger and a lot lesser in cost. And that's why it's going to be very powerful for you guys because it become one of your best friends. Because what I do with this, I like to take and make almond coconut yogurt is my favorite one. I make all kinds of yogurts and seeds and nuts and all that. But this is what I used to start it. This is a perfect, amazing starter, Life Biotic. Because you just take a teaspoon, put in the blender, put maybe a cup of pre-sprouted almonds with some coconut meat, coconut water.
Hey, Lou,
yeah?
We're going to start over with the Life Biotic because we're going to have to welcome everyone back for a part 2.
Oh, okay.
Shooting for part series, but as you can tell, Lou loves to share as much or more than I do. So I've got about 10 seconds here to just let you know that I'm just going to knock the camera up again, fire it back up, and we'll pick right up on Life Biotic, because I want to make sure you also go over the Pura Cleanse here, which is one of my favorite things.
It's very
So
powerful. That's true.
join us for part 2. Thank you very much. And
Love you guys.
we will talk in a second if you're interested in what